Hi guys, welcome back to another video. We're going to spend it in the kitchen again. And the goal for today is to make a bunch of freezer meals. It's not going to be complete meals, so I shouldn't have said that. It's going to be basically just the protein, some chicken and some meat that I want to have in the freezer. So as we're working outside in the garden, preparing to be able to plant out there, because we're currently working on our fencing. We got a delivery of some soil yesterday. We have to fill up the beds, and very soon we'll be able to start planting out some of our starts. I can already direct seed some things, so we want to get that going. So for the days that I will be working outside, I want to be able to have some easy dinners to just pull out, get ready in just a few minutes on the grill, and just a side dish, whatever it is I decide to make with it, and that will be dinner. So today we're going to take some time. It shouldn't take too long because I don't need to cook anything. The only thing I needed to cook was I got some chickpeas here that I did a quick soak. So I went to the store this morning for the first time after Pesach. So I didn't have these ingredients in my house yesterday. Usually what I do with chickpeas when I make falafel is that I soak them overnight to 24 hours. But since I didn't have it 24 hours ago, I did a quick soak where I'll show you when we're making the falafel how I did it. But other than that, it's just a few things of blending, combining some marinades in bags, and I want to make two different cookie recipes that I will just scoop and put it in the freezer, and whenever we want it is when we will bake it. So I actually think, let me first go through with you what we're going to make. So we're going to make some falafel. We're going to make a pineapple jalapeno chicken marinade, a basil marinade that I believe I shared it with you guys last summer, but we're going to do it again. We really did enjoy it, and we've been looking forward to it all winter long. We're going to make an orange ginger chicken. The recipe says to put it on kebabs, but I believe I'm going to leave it as whole pieces, and we're going to be able to grill it easier like that. Maybe I'll do one whole chicken, one pieces, and we'll do it on kebabs. We'll see. We're going to do fajita chicken, a honey mustard barbecue steak. We're going to make some shawarma chicken, which I believe I've also made with you guys, but it's something that my family has requested. So we'll make it again. We're going to make a bunch of burgers. I love having those in the freezer. I stack them. I freeze them. I have these parchment patty squares that I put the patties on. And I will freeze it in a single layer. Once they're frozen, I can easily stack them, put it in a bag, and whenever I want to use them, I can just pull out however many I need, and it'll take just moments for it to defrost. So I want to make a bunch of that. We're going to make a grilled chicken that will be made into a salad whenever we use it. And for the last thing the last chicken marinade is a Mediterranean chicken. For the cookies, I'm going to make crinkle cookies and a chocolate chip cookie made with almond flour, which has also been requested by my family. So I believe that the crinkle cookies need to be refrigerated before I can shape it, because it's usually very sticky. Setting it in the fridge will help firm it up a little bit, and it'll be easier to scoop. So I think we're going to start off with our cookies. Then we'll make the stuff that go in the blender, and then we'll just finish everything else up. I will have timestamps for you guys for everything that we're making. So if you want to see anything specific, you want to follow along, you want to see it, I will have it in the description for you. And I will have the recipes for you down below as well. So let's get into the cooking, and I hope you join me and make some of this. Okay, so I didn't show you guys, but I have a printout of everything that we are making, so I can make sure as we're getting them done, I can check them off. I printed off all the recipes that I need, and I also prepared some labels that I printed as well that we will put on our bags for everything, so we know what it is and we know how to cook it up when we want to go and use it. So let me move these things aside. I don't need those right now. We're going to start off with our crinkle cookies, like I said. So let me get my machine out. Okay, so for the cookies, we're going to start off with 2 cups of sugar and 3/4 cup of oil. We're going to beat that together, and then we're going to slowly add in some cocoa. 1 cup of cocoa. Let me see if I have disposable. Yeah, I love using these for wet ingredients. I'll show you guys. These disposable ones. It's like that I can keep these dry and I can use it from recipe to recipe. I don't have to keep on washing them. Oh no! Whew, that's not a good start to our day. I hope it goes better going forward. Okay, got that cleaned up. Let's try this again. Now I'm going to continue beating it. We're going to slowly add in 4 eggs, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, 2 1/3 cup flour, 2 teaspoons baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And then we're going to mix it until combined. I'm going to set this in a bowl here. Oh my goodness. And we're going to set it in the fridge for a couple hours before I will shape it and coat it with confectionery sugar and then put it in the freezer. We'll freeze it like that. So whenever I want to use it, all I need to do is just throw it in the oven and bake it. Now, when it comes to baking up these cookies, I'm going to bake it at the same temperature that the recipe calls for. I'm just going to add another couple minutes when it comes to the baking time to make sure that it is baked through, and I usually do it straight from frozen. Okay, for our crinkle cookies, I'm going to scoop it, the same scooper that I used on the chocolate chip cookies. We're going to drop it into the confectionery sugar. I'm going to coat it and put it on here. And as it's baking is when it's going to create the crinkles, and you'll get to see some of the chocolate when it spreads. So this I'm going to stick into the freezer, and I'm going to let everything freeze. Okay, so for our chocolate chip cookies, almond flour cookies, we're going to start off with 2/3 cup of oil, a 3/4 cup of packed brown sugar, and 1/4 cup of regular sugar. Now we're going to combine this until it's really nice and well combined. And then we're going to add 1 egg, 2 tablespoons of vanilla sugar, and mix that very well. Okay, now for the dry ingredients, the recipe does say to do this in a separate bowl, but I usually just do it inside the mixer. I don't enjoy dirtying up another dish. So we're going to put in 2 3/4 cup of almond flour. We're going to add 2 teaspoons of baking powder and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now because I didn't combine this in a separate bowl first, I'm just going to mix the baking powder in with the almond flour a little bit before I turn on the machine. Just came together. We're going to add in 1 cup of chocolate chips. Okay, we're going to pour it in and mix it until it's just combined. Okay, so I have here a cookie sheet that I lined with a parchment paper. I'm just going to scoop our cookies on here. And I can put them close together because I'm not going to bake them now. I'm just going to set them in the freezer. And once they're frozen, I'll be able to transfer them into a bag that I will put our labels on. And we will have it in the freezer ready for us whenever we want to bake it up. these will get frozen. And like I said, once they are frozen, we'll transfer them into a bag. Okay, the next thing we'll be doing is all the stuff that needs to be made in the blender. So that will be our falafel, pineapple jalapeno, basil marinade, and orange ginger chicken. And I think I'm going to start with the orange ginger chicken because I think that'll be the easiest to clean out. And we'll go from the easiest to clean to the hardest to clean. So for this recipe, we're actually going to double it. So let me write down the double amount. Okay, the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to juice some oranges. We need to get 1 cup, between 1 cup and 1 1/3. So the recipe says that 3 small oranges should get us there. I do have more if needed. And this is the only juicer I have, so hopefully the oranges will fit in here. So my little handheld lemon lime juicer did not work. The oranges were just way too big for that. So after doing half of an orange, I was like, this is not going to work. So I pulled out the juicer over here that I had gotten for myself for Pesach. I had just put away all the Pesach stuff, so I asked my husband, please, can you pull this out for me? We'll keep it for all year long, and next year Pesach I'll have to get myself a new one. And with this, it just took seconds, and it juiced the oranges perfectly, and I didn't even have to use all of them. I got more juice out of it than I needed, and my husband managed to get some freshly squeezed orange juice to drink, and he loved that. Okay, we're going to add a 1/2 cup of olive oil. Okay, now the recipe calls for 4 shallots, medium sized. The ones in my store were pretty small, so I'm going to do 5. And I'm just going to cut it into smaller chunks so that it is easier for the machine to blend it up. So this recipe actually says that it should be baked in the oven with a broiler. I will try and do it on the grill and see what happens with it, because I love grilling in the summer, and if we like this on the grill, I know that my family enjoys this. Everyone in my family enjoys it. So it will be great if I can have a grilled dinner that everyone loves. Because in the past, whenever I did a grilled dinner in the summer, I always had frankfurters in the fridge for those who didn't want whatever was prepped. I always had burgers in the freezer ready to go as well. But if I can just do one for everyone, that's a winner for me. Okay, the next thing to be added is about 2 inches of fresh ginger. I'm gonna cut it off. I'm gonna cut off this part over here. It doesn't look very good. I'm gonna peel it, and you can just do it with a spoon. You can just scrape off the skin. Oh, this smells so good. I used to skip any recipes that called for ginger, or if I really liked the recipe, I would just skip the ginger. I would leave it out of the recipe. But recently, I started loving the flavor of it. It is so good, especially fresh. There's just something to it. So if you haven't enjoyed the flavor of ginger in your dishes, try using fresh. You'll see it makes a huge difference. I'm going to cut this into smaller pieces as well. And now we're going to add 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, a 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper, and the recipe says 4 tablespoons of sugar to taste. I think I will start with 2. Taste it and see if it needs more. Because I don't think I want it too sweet. Now we're just going to blend it up. I'm going to taste this for sweetness and for the salt and pepper as well. I don't think I want more. It's perfect. Okay, so now I'm going to get 2 bags out. I'm going to get our labels on it. because it's easier to put it on now. Now, our chicken that I got is chicken cutlets, chicken breasts. I usually get them prepared when they're already prepared thin cutlets, because that's what we like. I don't know if my store was out of it, if they're not keeping up with the post-Pesach craziness in the stores, or they just didn't get to it yet, but they didn't have that. So I bought regular cutlets, and I will have to thin them. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour the marinades in, and once I have all my marinades prepped, I will get all the chicken in. So I'm going to divide this marinade between both bags. So like 1.5 cups in each. That was about 1 cup. Okay. Okay, so if you have your chicken ready, you can just stick it in here and you're done. You can put it in the freezer. But for me, I'm just gonna close this up. I'm gonna set it in the fridge until we're ready to add our chicken. Okay, so our second marinade will be a pineapple jalapeno chicken. So for this, we're gonna add all the marinade ingredients in the blender again. So we're gonna start off with 10 ounces of pineapple drained. I bought pineapple tidbits and it's 20 ounces. So we're gonna use about half of it. I think my family is gonna enjoy this as a snack today. Okay, now the recipe calls for half of a jalapeno seeded. My store only had tiny ones. They're like, oh, we're getting more later today. I was like, I'm not coming back to the store later. And we like spicy stuff. So I'm gonna do 3 small ones. And I'm gonna seed all but 1, I think. I'm gonna add some garlic. The recipe calls for 3. And I see a pattern here today. Everything is small, so we're adding more. Now this also calls for some ginger. For 1/2 inch. So we're going to take just a little bit from here and peel it. And just like before, we're going to cut it into smaller pieces. And we're going to get some soy sauce, 1/4 cup of it to be exact, 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar, 1/4 cup of oil. I am using olive oil, 1/4 cup of honey, and after the oil that just glides out beautifully. Now we'll do 1/2 teaspoon of salt and 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. I'm going to blend this up. Let's taste this. Delicious. Not spicy at all. So there's a chance that everyone in my family will enjoy it. Okay, get out 2 additional bags. May as well just take out the box for now. Let's get our labels for this. And we're going to do the same thing as before. I'm going to divide the divide the marinade between both bags and set it in the fridge until we're ready for it. The reason why I'm doing this is because I don't want to have to keep washing my board every time I do the chicken. So since I started with cutting vegetables, let me finish all the vegetables and then we'll do the chicken. Like that I only have to wash the board once after I'm done with all the chicken. Okay, next we're going to make our basil marinade. And for this one, we're going to double the recipe. So let me write down the double measurements so that I don't forget. So we're going to start off with 2/3 cup of avocado oil, 1/2 cup of rice vinegar, 1/2 cup of coconut aminos. If you don't have this, you can use soy sauce instead. I just like having both in the house. Okay, now I'm gonna measure out 4 cups of basil, fresh basil, and I'm gonna rinse it and then get it in here. And the way that I get basil is that it still has like the roots of the plant down there. So I don't want all this soil on my counter. So I'm leaving it in the bag. I'm just taking one stem at a time, removing the leaves and separating so I have an easier time knowing what I've done already. And I did get 2 bunches because if I remember correctly from last year when I made this, that one bunch equaled about 2 cups or for one recipe, and I wanted a double today, so I wanted to make sure that I'll have enough. I was right, 1 bunch is about 2 cups. So I think for the second bunch I'm just gonna pick all the leaves and I'm not gonna measure it. Okay, we will spin this dry, and while it's drying we're gonna add in here 4 cloves of garlic, 4 tablespoons of maple syrup, and 1 teaspoon of sea salt. Okay, now we can blend it up. Gonna add in all the basil. We're gonna repeat like before. Put the labels on. Divide the marinade between both bags and set it in the fridge. Actually this, I'm actually gonna use some meat. And that is ready to go in. So I'm gonna do that now. I'm gonna first I'm gonna divide the marinade. So I have 2 trays of meat here. I will do 1 tray per, and each of them is a little over a pound. I'm going to close this up. I'm going to release the most air possible. And then we're going to combine the marinade with the meat, making sure that everything is coated. I see I can release some more air. I'm going to lay it as flat as possible. And to save space in the freezer, I'm going to lay them flat on a cookie sheet so that they freeze flat. And once it's frozen, I can have them standing up, and they'll take up a lot less space in the freezer. Okay, the last thing that we will need our blender for is our chickpeas, is our falafel bowls. Now falafel bowls will not be only for dinner, it's probably going to be mostly for lunches, but I'll make it a lot easier. So I have here, it's in this book, Fresh and Easy, page 140. It says to grind the chickpeas, garlic, and onion. And then we're going to transfer it to a bowl. I'm going to add in the remaining ingredients. So we have here our chickpeas that I did a quick soak on. I will show you how I did that. Okay, now like I said in my intro, I did not have the chickpeas the night before to let it soak for 24 hours. So as soon as I came home from the store, I placed a full bag, 1 pound bag of chickpeas into a pot with 2 inches of liquid on top of the chickpeas. I'm going to cover it, bring it to a boil. Once it's reached a boil, we're going to let it cook for 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, we're going to remove it from the heat, cover it, and let it stand for 1 hour. Then drain it, and it is ready to be used. So once that is done and it's cooled and it's drained, I can add it in here. And we're going to add in a medium onion quartered and 12 to 14 cloves of garlic, or 1 entire head. So I see this is going to take multiple attempts. So while that is going, I'm going to get the rest of the ingredients in here. And that will be 3 eggs, 2 tablespoons dried cilantro leaves, 1 teaspoon black pepper, a little bit of salt, a tablespoon of baking soda, a tablespoon of cumin, 2 tablespoons of flour, 1 3/4 to 2 cups of water, and 1 cup breadcrumbs or more as needed. So we're going to get this mixture into the bowl, and we're going to combine this all. So now if you're going to fry this up fresh, then you have to put this in the refrigerator for at least a half an hour. I will put it into the freezer though, and it does say that if needed, we should add more breadcrumbs. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to shape them right now. I am just going to lay them flat in a bag, and when I want to fry it up, I will defrost it and I will see if it needs more breadcrumbs and then shape it and fry it. And I think I should have used a bigger bowl. I did not realize quite how much mixture this will make. This will give us a lot of lunches, a lot of dinners, and I need more labels for it then. Actually, I had a thought about what I'll do. Okay, we're done with the food processor, so we can put that away. It'll give me a bit more space on the counter to work now. So what I'm gonna do, I got out 6 smaller bags, and I'm gonna divide the mixture in 6. Then I'll take 3 of each, put it in one of the Ziploc bags with a label, because I only made 2 labels. And then each time I want to make it, I'll just pull out a small bag, and I think that will be enough for us. And I want to try to divide this the most evenly possible, so I'll start with 1 cup of mixture per bag. 1 cup per is perfect. Have just a little bit more here. So I'm going to divide it between all of them. Getting this as flat as possible means that it'll defrost very quickly. So if I decide to have it for lunch one day, but I forgot to take it out in the morning, it shouldn't take too long to defrost. Okay, these will now go into the freezer, and just like with our basil marinade, I'm going to lay it flat, and once it's frozen, we'll be able to stand it upright. And I am going to take a little bit of a break now. This is taking me longer than expected, and I need lunch. I need to eat something. When we come back, we're just going to make some marinades straight in the bag, no blender needed. Just combine everything in the bag. We're going to add the chicken stock first too that we set in the fridge. Okay, so we are back now after a break. Let's see how fast we can get this done, because I want to go outside and start filling up some beds with soil, because that takes a lot of work. And the sooner we get started, the faster they'll be filled up. So we're going to make, I think the burgers I'll leave for later. I'm going to start with just marinades. So let me just prepare the bags first, actually. Put the labels on them. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is our fajita chicken. I think this is the only one that still has a vegetable. This has a green bell pepper and an onion. So I'm going to cut up the onion and the bell pepper, and then we'll just combine all the spices. We'll prep the chicken, and let's see how fast we can get this done. I'm going to set this aside for now. We're going to get all our marinades ready, and then we'll get to our chicken. So in here, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of lemon juice per bag, a tablespoon of honey. I forgot I have to make the taco seasoning. So I'm going to make it in here, and we're going to shake it up. So I have here a recipe that makes a lot. I'm going to do half of it. So we're going to start off with a 3/4 cup of chili powder. I hope it'll all fit in this jar. We'll do 2 tablespoons of smoked paprika, 2 tablespoons of cumin, 2 tablespoons of coriander, which is cilantro, 2 tablespoons garlic, 2 tablespoons onion, 1 tablespoon cinnamon, 2 tablespoons oregano, and this is optional, 2 tablespoons salt. I'm going to shake this up, get it all combined, and then we need a 1/4 cup of this seasoning mixture. Okay, that looks good. So we're going to do 2 tablespoons of this mixture per bag, 2 tablespoons oil per bag. And now if your taco seasoning doesn't have salt, you will add salt now as well. Okay, so that's for our fajita chicken. Next up here I have our Mediterranean chicken. I'm going to go according to what bags are up top. Now the recipe calls for freshly squeezed lemon juice. And this I had squeezed a couple days ago, so we're going to use this. And I will do a 1/4 cup per bag, 2 tablespoons oil per bag. Now this does call for some minced garlic. I'm going to let this defrost over here a little bit first. About a 1/2 tablespoon of mustard and a little bit of oregano. Let me see if this is defrosted enough. Yes, because they're small. Okay, so that's it for the Mediterranean. Next up we have the grilled chicken salad. Now this one starts off with lemon juice as well. So I'm gonna first use up our freshly squeezed, which is about 1/3 of a cup. But we need a 1/2 cup per bag. 3 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce per bag. 1/4 cup of olive oil. 2 tablespoons oregano. 4 teaspoons of parsley. 4 teaspoons basil. This is going to need some garlic as well. A tablespoon of brown sugar. A 1/2 teaspoon paprika. A 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And a 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. Let me start with the smaller ones. Okay, that's everything for this one. Next up here I have the shawarma chicken, which that recipe is from this cookbook, page 102. And now this recipe calls for Moroccan paprika. I don't have that, so I'm going to use hot paprika instead of that. And we need 2 tablespoons per bag. A 1/2 tablespoon of smoked paprika. I'm going to use, I don't know how to pronounce this, but we're going to do 2 tablespoons of this. A teaspoon of cumin. I got like my entire spice drawer out here. A teaspoon of turmeric. Salt and pepper to taste. Okay, that's it for that. And the last one here is going to be a honey mustard barbecue sauce. Sorry, a honey mustard barbecue steak. So the recipe calls for a honey mustard barbecue sauce, which I couldn't find in my store. So I'm going to have to make that. So I'm going to do that in a small bowl here. We're going to start off with a 1/4 cup of mustard. Now this recipe that we're making, the steak recipe, calls for the sauce or just the honey mustard? Just the honey mustard barbecue sauce has to be divided. So since we're gonna make a double recipe, I'm just gonna make 1 batch of this because this should be enough for both of them. And when I'm cooking it up, I'm gonna make the sauce again. Why should I do that? Because I don't know when I'll make it. I don't know how long it'll be good in the fridge. 1/4 cup of honey. 2 1/2 tablespoons of a barbecue sauce. It calls for 2 tablespoons of mayo. I don't want to get a dirty measuring spoon in there, so I'm going to take a clean one. A tablespoon of lemon juice, some salt, and pepper. And this is our honey mustard barbecue sauce. And now we'll be able to make our marinade using this. Actually, I'm seeing here the amount of steak that it needs. Means I have to split the recipe, not double it. So we're going to do a tablespoon of red wine vinegar, tablespoon of olive oil, a quarter cup of this barbecue sauce. I'm going to do garlic again, a little bit of black pepper, and a quarter teaspoon of salt. Okay, so first I'm going to do this one that we just made, because this one calls for meat. Now my grocery only had 1 pack of sandwich steak, so 1 bag will get that. And the second bag will get the same cut that we used earlier, the one that we used for our basil marinade. Now that I have the meat in there, I am going to close up the bag, release most of the air as possible, and then I'm going to shake it up to combine the marinade and to make sure that it covers all of the meat. And while I'm doing this, you can see I'm talking to my husband. He is going to be going outside now, and he's going to start filling up the beds, and he's asking which ones he should prioritize filling first. Because I believe at this point we had 1 bed half full. Like we're filling it in layers. If you want to see, you can follow. You can hit subscribe so you can follow and see our updates as I'm posting them. And he wanted to know which bed to start with next. So that's also why I'm running through the marinades very quickly and why I'm leaving the burgers for later, because I want to go out and help him, because it's not actually that hard. The hardest part of filling the garden beds was wheeling the wheelbarrow with all that weight inside. So when we figured out a way that makes the workflow the easiest for everyone. But to see that, you'll have to see our future video of how we expand our garden. Okay, now this honey barbecue sauce, I'm gonna need it for when I am cooking up the steaks. So I have here these little containers. I'm gonna divide the sauce between 2 of them. And I'm gonna put it in a Ziploc bag in together with our meat, so they'll defrost at the same time, and when I'm ready to cook it, I'll have it, because I don't know how long it'll last in the fridge. And I'm putting it in a separate bag so that when I defrost this, the containers are not dirty. I will just remove it from the bag then, and I'll have a clean container. So this one will be a little bit harder to get completely flat. Gonna get that on here. I'm gonna set this aside, and we're gonna get our chicken out and our 2 additional marinades. Actually, I'm gonna need the most space possible here. So I'm going to clean up my counter here, because I have basically my entire spice cabinet out here. And then later today, I'm gonna aim for later today to make our burgers. We have our 2 blended marinades. Now all of these are chicken, so it doesn't matter which one we put first, which one we put second, because they're all getting the exact same thing. It's just the marinade that will affect the flavor and how we cook it. Okay, now I'm thinking that I miscalculated how much chicken I need, because I wrote down how many of the regular trays I would need. And like I said, my grocery didn't have it. So, I think I'm actually good. Okay, I'm starting off with 2 pieces of cutlets cut in half per bag. I will have more, so I will add afterwards more. And all I'm doing is I'm cutting it in the thickness in half. I think it's called butterflying, something like that. Okay, so for this one here, our orange ginger, 1 of the packs I'm gonna put in the just regular pieces, like I'm doing for everything else. But for 1 of them, I will cut them into what's it called, cubes, so that we can skewer them and have them on skewers. Oh, I think this was the perfect amount of chicken. Wow, I couldn't have calculated it better. I'm gonna write over here that this one is full pieces and this one is the nuggets. So if I know that I want to do kebabs one day, I should take out this one. If I don't care, I'll take out the other one. Okay. I'm gonna take these over to the freezer, and I guess now I'm gonna go out with my husband. We're gonna fill up the beds. Later today, we're gonna come back and we're gonna make our burgers. So my ground beef total is just shy of 4 pounds. The recipe that I'm following calls for 1 pound. So we're gonna quadruple all the ingredients. So we're starting off with our ground beef. We're gonna do 1 cup of soy sauce, 6 tablespoons of sugar. We're gonna need 8 cloves of garlic. I'm gonna let it defrost just like we did with the other stuff earlier. 1/4 cup of oil. Oh, when I'm saying 1/4 cup, it means 4 tablespoons. It's the same thing, but for the liquid, it's easier to measure. For this, I can get 1/4 cup in here. So we're gonna measure out 4 tablespoons of sesame seeds. And there's plenty of times where I leave out the sesame seeds if I don't have, and the next thing we'll add in is some scallions. And if I don't have that, I've left that out as well. It just adds additional flavor, but it's not a must. Okay, so I got a bunch of garlic, a bunch of scallions here that we're going to chop up. And now the recipe calls for 3 tablespoons of diced scallions. I usually just add however much I feel like. I feel like for this amount I can add quite a bit. Black pepper. Now we're going to add our garlic. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some earbuds in and I'm going to listen to something while I do this because it's very monotonous. So I'm going to mix this together, and then I have this patty press over here. The bottom comes out, and what I do is I get one of these parchment squares that I showed you earlier. I'm going to put it down on the bottom, put some meat mixture in here. I make the patties about 1/4 pound each. Then I put one on top. I press down, and then we'll get it on a tray. And once it's all done, we're going to freeze it. Once it's frozen is when it's going to go into a bag. So I realized I didn't tell you guys why I used these papers, or I don't think I did. So the reason why I put them on the bottom is so that I can stack them and separate them easily. And the reason why I do it in the patty press with it already is because otherwise some of the mixture will get stuck on it and it makes a mess and makes it very hard to get the burgers out. Same things with the top. We'll get some mixture stuck on it and then it's very hard to get it off of the top of the burger. So when I discovered these, I was really excited because it makes it so easy. So our last one is 1 ounce, 1.7 ounces. The other ones I managed to make 4.1. So, well, you know what? I got it dirty already, so let me show you why I use it. See how it's stuck on there? Now you didn't have to slide it off. So it's just easier to do it with a parchment on both sides. Okay, these are going to go in the freezer. Okay, so this here is a few days later, and I am finally getting everything upright and compacting it all to one shelf. So, sorry about the angle. I haven't realized how bad it is. But basically what I did was that when I put them in before they were frozen, I stacked them one on top of the other, but on multiple shelves so that they would freeze earlier, faster. And now I'm just taking them all and I'm standing them upright. And I already used some. So we used 6 burgers already. Last night we had some shawarma. The day that we made all these freezer meals, I made the grilled chicken salad. And so far, everything that we've had was delicious. The grilled chicken salad was really enjoyed because you get to play around with it. It's just the chicken. You can make whatever you want with your salad, whatever dressing, whatever vegetables, whatever lettuce. So there's a lot of flexibility there. Over here, I'm pulling out a falafel for lunch today, and I'm going to pull out a Mediterranean chicken for dinner. What was I saying? The chicken salad was delicious, and my family enjoyed it and asked that I make it again. The burgers, we know that is good because I've made it for many years already. And the shawarma chicken, we didn't have in a long time. And my family asked that I make it again next week. They were so excited. I said, well, I only have 2 in the freezer. That means I have 1 left. They were like, I don't care. Make it next week. I want to have it. It is so good. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, hit the like and subscribe button. And if you want to see more between now and my next upload, I will pop some videos for you on the screen right now. In my kitchen freezer, I had the cookies. So I'm putting it over here. And I had the burgers in here as well. Look at that, an entire shelf filled with ready dinners to go, ready protein.